Well, we're back having another education conversation. We started off with the Ghana National Association of Teachers, remember, yesterday, after we cited that directive calling for strategies from the various education stakeholders on the way forward, just in case the president lifts the ban on gatherings and schools are back. What strategies can the various stakeholders share? So on the back of that, this morning we have the Ghana Education Service. There's a Deputy Director General in charge of Management Services, Mr. Anthony Boateng, is here to take all the questions, the follow-up from yesterday's conversation in particular. So good morning to you, sir. Thank you for coming.
Good morning.
According to what we cited, which was not a public notice, by the way, the deadline for submission of strategies was today. Do you have enough? Have people shared?
Thank you very much for having me, and good morning to your esteemed listeners. We have received some, including some information from the teacher unions.
Okay.
So it's an exercise we are undertaking in order to make an informed decision, and so we continue to receive inputs from the stakeholders. Do
you have a strategy yourself as a Ghana Education Service on reopening of schools if this whole ban is lifted?
You see, we in education, we deal with various stakeholders. We have various interest groups, parents, teachers, workers, even the general public. And therefore, in coming up with any strategy, the strategy we adopted was to gather as much information, gather as much ideas as possible for the various stakeholders, put all of them together, and then come up with a strategy that will fit and suit everybody who is a stakeholder in the system. You see, we are dealing with people, one, who have various interests, parents whose children are there, the children themselves, staff who are teachers who will be part of the system, non-teaching staff who will be part of the environment, and therefore you need to make sure that everybody is comfortable, everybody is safe, and everybody can be protected. And therefore their strategy is to look at what does everybody think can be done. So after we've gathered all those ideas together, we will then put them together in the form of a proposal. Should we be asked to reopen schools, then we know what to do.
All right, so we hit the streets after we got hints of this, and I want us to take a listen to what people have got to say. We've also got lots of reactions on Facebook as well. But first, here's what we found on the street.
It depends on the preparation, or it depends on the situation that the government, in fact, the policies that the government will put in place. If the children are to go back to school, I will actually have to evaluate what systems the government has put in place to ensure that my child is safe before I will allow my child to go to school. You know, observing all the necessary protocols. I don't know what system they are going to put in place, because we have to make sure that my child is safe before I allow my child to go back to school.
I wouldn't know who is coming, whether they are safe or not, whether they don't have the virus from their parents. Nobody knows. And it's a scary thing to know. And markets are way small, so they can do without school for some time now. And as we are doing now, we've been doing everything on the internet. So I think we'll continue like that.
I think maybe the president knows the best. So that's why he decided for the children to go back to school. I'll allow him to go to school.
Of course, I'll allow my children to go. If there are measures that the president has put in place, social distancing, nose masks, and so on and so forth, I will allow them to go. And besides, I'm also working, so I can also get, since I'm living in the room with the same children, they can get it from me. So if I allow them to go back to school, if they will get, definitely they will get. But if president has put measures, I will allow my children to go to school. Yes, because as they can't keep on being in the house, I can't keep on teaching them. That is a fact. So I will let them go.
No. You see, in Ghana, right, the people the schools, for instance, especially government schools, see the number of students are in the class, and this junk of students going to school, who knows? The parents having it, bringing it to the children in the class, they are even compatible in the class. One will surely, when someone get in the class, all of them will get. And when they come back home, you the guardian or the parent, you also get it. So it's very bad. So if you start, so even now, the work that we are doing, where is the money that we are going to take them to the school? So we should be at home and let's pray to God that this thing will go and you'll be free.
As a mother, I don't think I will allow my children to go back to school after the ban is being lifted, because while the children are in school, even the point is that even the adults, they are not even taking care of their measures well. As in, they are not, you could see in town, there are some people, they are not putting on the nose masks, there are others, they are putting on the nose masks. So how sure are you that even the kids who are not even that matured to be putting on their nose masks all the time, how sure are you that they will really be controlled? And even while they are playing, they can get close to each other at any point in time. So I don't think, I don't think I'll allow my children to go back to school.
This is a sentiment shared by many parents. This is very complicated, Mr. Boateng.
You see, Madam, the truth of the matter, listening to the health officials, is that COVID has come to stay. And therefore, we will be with COVID for some time. So if we are thinking of what infection and others, what it means is that we have closed schools forever. But it cannot be. Definitely, we will have to go back to school. It might be a week, it might be months, it might be even a year. We will have to go back to school with COVID around. Now, what is important is, what do you do to ensure that those children or those members of the public who are engaged with the school system are safe and secure?
But yours, Mr. Boateng, is rather very complicated, unlike the private schools, because you have a class size of sometimes 70.
Yes.
And you actually also have some schools even under trees.
Yes.
You don't have enough infrastructure, essentially. Yes. So if you're social distancing, you're spacing the children, what are the possibilities?
Right. You see, Madam, you see, this is when ideas become important. That is why we do not sit in our office and make a decision, and we are asking for inputs. For example, some of the views we have seen, some of the thoughts that have gone through. For example, people are talking about, do we do shift system? Do we do phased reopening? Phased reopening meaning that some classes will come, some classes will have to wait. Because some classes are not coming, then you can spread out those classes that are coming for the moment. Some people are thinking of shift system. Some will come in the morning, some will come in the afternoon. So you look at your environment, your circumstances, what you have, what the issues are, and how can you deal with them in ensuring. Now, in looking at the issue of, somebody said, of an infection, yes, even now that we are home, what is the guarantee that everybody will not be infected? People are being infected. What is important is that the protocols are observed. So in one of the things I read from one of the people who have made contribution as to the strategies, they were suggesting, for example, that we should have Veronica buckets, we should have hand sanitizers, we should have face masks for every student, every teacher, every non-teaching staff in the environment. How do you ensure that at the school level, you ensure that you keep the distancing? Some people have even suggested that let KG, P1, P2, P3 stay at home for some time. How the system improve, because they are very, very young. They will not even appreciate some of the issues about the protocol. But the more mature one like P4, P5, P6, JHS, senior high schools, they can understand some of these things better, and therefore you can manage them better. These are ideas that we are putting together. Once we all come to a consensus as to the best way out, of course, let me also add that we are also in very, very close contact with the health authorities. Some of the things that we are talking about, we have even engaged them, and they are engaging us on some of the issues that we are raising.
So, you know, we've always moved with the data and the science. Why don't we allow these strategies to be shared solely by the health experts who are in charge of this? After all, this is not something we've experienced before, COVID-19.
Yeah, you see, health will give you the protocols, will give you the indicators, will give you the directions, but you are the operator of the system. You don't expect the nurse, for example, to come to the classroom and be dealing with the children. He might be around to provide some professional guidance on what to do, what not to do, but in terms of who manages the school, who manages the class, it will be the educational worker. So the educational worker also becomes significant. That is why some of these ideas, you see, let me also put on record that, but as I speak here, no decision has been made as to when to reopen schools.
Yes, but should the president come in his next address, because we know the extension goes to the end of May.
Yes.
So if he says, for instance, schools can be back in June, would you be ready? And when I say GS ready to reopen schools?
That is exactly what we are doing now. By collating ideas and views, should the schools go back? What should we do? What do we want to see? How do we manage the environment to make sure that everybody is safe and everybody is secure? And that is what we are soliciting, and we are asking for views and ideas so that we put them together to become the framework within which these schools can operate in a safe and secure environment.
But the GS would have something to share. So, for instance, yesterday when I engaged NATS, for instance, the General Secretary, I got the opinion that they also wanted to hear something from the Ghana Education Service. What do you also have to offer? What are, your strategies as well? What are you throwing out there? Teachers were asking, would we have PPEs? Are you providing us with enough protection by ourselves as you have employed us?
Yeah, you see, that is why, again, let me say that if we felt that what we have is enough, and if we felt that what we have is what should be, we would not have gone out asking for ideas. We have some ideas, we have some concepts in mind, but their strategy is that let's get others to also make inputs. At the end of the day, we come up with something that reflects our thinking, reflects what the other stakeholders also think, so that we come up with a system that everybody is part of, everybody is comfortable to operate within. And then, but you see, let me state here, if we had gone ahead and said, okay, should the president lift the restrictions, schools will reopen on this date, A, B, C, D is what should happen. These are the very institutions that will have come shouting that we as major stakeholders were not consulted. They will have come shouting. So we say, please, should we be asked to reopen schools? What do you want to see? What are your comments? What are your inputs? So that we will create an environment that is safe, that is secure, so that everybody who is part of that system can feel comfortable. Then it also becomes an issue, because you are, I even heard yesterday somebody saying that the letter we wrote is creating fear and panic. I don't understand.
Well, there's context to that, and it was said on this show, mainly because other people saw it.
Yes.
Because other people have seen it, and they may not understand, because it sounded like we're going to go back to the classroom. And it looks like the mindset has not been made yet, because everybody feels like it's not safe to go back to the classroom.
Yeah, you see, probably, I don't know, but who read the letter, but the letter was very clear. I have a copy here. The letter was very, very clear. Should we go back, should we decide to reopen schools, what do you want to see? What are your inputs? Should we decide schools should go back? So I will allow that, because probably some people can misread. I understand that. But the point we are making is that it is for all of us to work together to create an environment in which the student, the teacher, the non-teaching staff, anybody who is part of the school system will feel secure and comfortable when we should go back. And therefore, what we are saying is that let people come up with their views, with their comments, with their inputs. What do you want to see in a school environment that will make it safe and secure for everybody to? So, you see, at the end of the day, let us also not forget that as educationists, the longer these children stay at home, the worse the situation gets. Because in education, if it is long vacation, the child has finished one set of course and is moving to the other, you can afford to let him stay at home for some time. But if the child is cut off in the middle of a program, you build upon. Education is a ladder. You build upon. Once the foundation becomes, let's say, rusty, you can't build upon. And therefore, some of us are also conscious of the fact that we should be very careful. We don't let the students stay at home for too long, especially the younger ones.
How much time will be too long? They've stayed home for 2 months.
Yeah, you see, madam, let me say, the fundamental point is that it's about security and health of the children. So if, under the current circumstance, if we should stay at home for 1 year because the environment is not safe, there will be nothing too long, because there will be no, it will not be appropriate to push children to school simply because we want them to go to school and to go and get infested and infected. So what we are saying is that I believe that the president's decision whether the school should go back or not will be well advised. I think that once he's sure that the environment, based on the advice he received, based on his own analysis of the situation, once he decided the school must go back, I think he's sure that the environment is conducive and better.
Is he also getting contributions from the Ghana Education Service, for instance? Are you also called upon to make contributions in terms of what you think the way forward should be?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what's the GES thoughts then? Are we ready to go back? Not in terms of, because you've talked about staying home for too long and being rusty. And we're in the middle of it. We haven't finished the academic calendar.
Yes.
So we have to have a way of completing it.
Yes.
So within that context, what do you think?
You see, as I said, we have some ideas, but they are not conclusive. And you know, the danger is that immediately you start giving out what you think, people begin to, they are saying that this and that. So that's why we are being concerned. We have our own clear-cut ideas. For example, some of the views that have come, some of the views that I have seen, somebody suggested, for example, why don't you let the final years come to school, prepare, finish, and go? Once the final years finish and go, you create space so that when others come in, then you can spread out. Meanwhile, the final year, for example, the SHS, the senior high school's final years, will need to complete to be able to enter tertiary. It's only when they leave that you can get people to go to Form 1, so that those who are finishing DHS can also fit in. Then you can get class 1 KG people also coming in, and then the system can move. That is somebody's ideas. Somebody think that, look, can we have a system? And in addition to that, we have also engaged WAEC, and we're giving them some options. Should Ghana decide that it is ready to write its final exams, while the other West African countries are not ready? What are the options? We are engaging WAEC on that.
Okay, so what have they put on the table with regards to that?
They have brought some proposals which we are looking at, and therefore it will be premature for me to put it out now. Then we look.
But I'm wondering why we went to them, since they already have a position in terms of exams.
WAEC? What was their position?
Because WAEC issued a statement to put the exam on hold.
They put the exam on hold for the entire West African sub-region.
Exactly.
Because of the outbreak of the pandemic.
Exactly. So I was thinking we will wait for them to be ready.
No, we went to them and said, looking at the environment, looking at the West African sub-region, should, and we use the word should, we Ghana decide that we are ready to go, while the other West African countries are not ready, what are the options? We went to them.
And you say they've shared something, except that they're not going to go on record with it.
They reacted to our proposal, which is available, but we were not ready one because we are.
Can we avoid the exams? Can't we avoid the exams? Must we necessarily write exams?
No, we need not necessarily write the exam. If by the circumstance we cannot write the exam, other options will have to be explored, and we are not stuck in writing of exams. It depends on how safe, how secure the environment is to facilitate the writing of the exam.
I want us to go to Facebook and pick up some comments on Facebook. When we come back, there's still many angles to explore with this particular conversation. So let's go to Facebook. Let's check out the post that we put on. But may I also ask, are you soliciting views from parents as well? Because you say major stakeholders.
Yes.
We're talking about the education associations, but are parents included?
Yes, they are. You see, let me say before we go there, what we did was we drew up a strategy. First, we wanted to deal with those who are the, let me call the frontline operators, the teachers, the non-teaching staff, through their unions, and the teacher, the three teacher unions, NAT, NAGRAT, CCT Ghana. Then the non-teaching have TEU, Teachers and Educational Workers Union. Then we have CODE, which is the Conference of District Directors of Education. We've dealt with the Regional Directors of Education. We are dealing with CHAS, with the Conference of Heads of Senior High Schools. So these to us, and then APTI is the Association of Principals of the Technical Institutes. So the various groups that are front line in the education enterprise, we want to engage them on one front. Then we will come to the major stakeholders, like the parents, like civil society organizations, like NGOs, like development partners, who also contribute or who also make input into the education delivery system. We also want to engage them. So those are the levels at which we are living.
I didn't hear media.
The media?
Yes.
The media
we should be major stakeholders too.
The media will be part of the civil society organizations, and we will deal with that when we come there.
Okay, we've been embedded there. Let's go to Facebook and let's check out the comments on Facebook. If you haven't contributed, you still can. You can also send us a WhatsApp message. We'll put the number on the screen shortly. Faith NS says the teacher unions lack vision and foresight. Okay. Can we just skip this comment in particular? And I wanted to let's just be open and go straight to the point. Let's not accuse anybody in this conversation. Richard Safo says, if we're not careful, there's a breakout in our boarding schools, we'll regret it. It will be more than what happened in the fishing company. That's Richard Safo's contribution.
Can I react to this?
Let me take some more and then we'll come back. Ban Sakwesi says, sure, because we asked, would you send your child back to school if this restriction is lifted? The House is even boring. Or those who are saying no are the public teachers. They sit home and get paid, so they think that's all. They have to think about the children too. Assuming they were not paid whilst they stayed at home, then they will see the private school teachers are struggling whilst government teachers are enjoying. I'm sure that's most of them saying no. So this point is well made. Thank you very much for your contribution. Let's see more comments. Do we have? John Fraser says it's never a wise decision. I'm a teacher and I get worried about the decision considering the condition of our classrooms in my school as a result of free SHS. The first years are packed on benches without even tables, just to talk less about dining hall. All right, so I missed that message, but well made. We'll bring it back, I am told. Okay, reopening schools now will spell doom for us until we make a little attempt in improving. Okay, Silas says, the question is, what if the corona pandemic is with us for 7 years or so? Will you allow your ward return to school? What I'm trying to say is that we have to find a way back to our normal life because nobody knows when the coronavirus will go. Prince Nat says, if new voters register is possible, sure, student 2 can resume classes. We always have to find a way to bring it in, don't we? Gabriel says, there's nothing to worry about. We are tired of sitting home. Other diseases are killing more than coronavirus. It's time for school. Let's stop the banter. Margaret says, as a teacher in Ghana, I will say no. Our classrooms are not safe, especially the senior high schools. Children are talkatives, careless and messy most often. Mami says if GS is going to put all precautionary measures in place in all schools around Ghana, then it's fine. If not, my child will wait for the next academic year. Andrew says, no, I will advise the final year students alone go and adhere to the protocols. That's from Andrew Benjamin says, most classrooms are already choked. Have you created more rooms for the students to observe the social distancing? Some schools in Europe are back to classes with few students in classrooms. What measures are put for the safety of the students with 50 students in one class? University students must be the first batch to start class. Don says, my problem is about the sitting arrangements. Looking at our classrooms and the attendance, because we still have to observe all the protocols put in place to combat the virus. We need to look at a lot of factors before taking such decisions. And I just wanted to also chip in that French schools have recorded 70 coronavirus cases since some of them were allowed to reopen last week. So the things that we are afraid of, those who have opened up are experiencing some of our fears.
You see, Madam, the truth of the matter, like I did indicate earlier, Corona is not going, from what I'm hearing, is not going anytime soon.
Well, from what the health minister said to us in the last briefing.
So then the indication is that schools are finished, but it can't be. So, like all the issues they have raised, very valid, very legitimate.
And I saw you make notes of specific ones.
Yes, very legitimate, very appropriate concerns raised there. So the issue is, what can we do about them so that the environment can be safer? Somebody talked about what happens if the corona breaks out in a school compound. I'm sure that if we should read tomorrow that Ghanaian schools are reopened and there's corona outbreak, I'm sure the whole country will run amok. And therefore, if there are people who will be willing to stay off, it should be Ghana Education Service, because we'll get much on the bash. And therefore, why would we want to put our head on the table? We will not. Ordinarily, will not. But the issue is that we cannot afford to let the students stay out of school forever. We will, as I said, the schools will have to go back either in weeks, in months, or even in a year. The schools will have to go back. Once the schools are going to go back, we will need to ensure that the environment is safe, the environment is secure, so that everybody can be comfortable. So these are the ideas we are asking for. What do we do to make sure that the environment is secure, the environment is safe, so that everybody can be comfortable, the parent in allowing the child to go to school, the child in going to the school compound. These are the ideas we are soliciting.
Okay.
As I said, we have some ideas. We are continuing with the consultation. We have spoken to the health authorities. We are talking to the examination bodies. We are talking to virtually everybody.
So essentially, you don't want it to be a bottom-down approach. You want everybody's input to be on board. Exactly. So let's invite our viewers to join us. If you've got a question or a comment or a suggestion, I've got the Deputy Director General, Management Services, Ghana Education Service in the studio. You're welcome to join us with your phone calls, 0302-211-69-102, 0302-211-69-102. Mr. Boateng, what would it take to scrap the rest of the term? Because yesterday I was sharing the idea of, we're just going to go into the longer vacation. That would give us a lot of time to even be thinking. So what if we scrap the rest of the term so that we add it to the long vacation, and then we'll have enough time to play with the ideas before the next academic calendar?
Yes. You see, if by the long vacation you are talking about, if the environment is safe and secure for us to go, why not? But if even at that time we are still expressing these concerns and these fears, what can we do?
So are you willing? Are you willing? I mean, is the GS open to letting go the rest of the term?
Madam, it is not about willing or not willing. It's about how secure or safe the environment is. If the health authorities continue to say, or if the president continues to direct that the situation is not appropriate for schools to go back, we will not go back.
Let's go to the phone lines. Akosia and Abendao. Akosia is in Wager. Akosia, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, Akosia, thank you for calling. Let's hear your thoughts on this conversation.
I was wondering why we can't get the final year students just pass examinations like other countries, and why we have to wait? Because I don't know, we feel like some final year students feel like nothing is being put in place. They're just waiting, and it's very disrespectful actually. Yes.
Okay, so you sound like you're involved somehow. Are you a student? Hello, Akosia. Oh, sadly, I lost you. Let me talk to Abendao in BBNE. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Mamazi.
Yes, sir. I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for asking. Let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think the GES leaders, they are showing concerns as well as trying all they can to make sure that students get back to schools to learn, and that is a good idea. But is the tertiary institutions, like the training colleges, the polytechnic, and the universities. As for them, with this COVID-19 protocols, I'm sure they can manage. They can manage by following the social distancing, washing of hands, wearing of nose masks, and the rest. They can, but the basic level, the KG and the primary, how are they going to wear this nose mask and wash their hands? And you know this case. For instance, when one is wearing a watch, that person will say, "Oh, Akwesi, also wear my watch and see how beautiful it is." Likewise, then nose mask. When the teachers are not there, they will move in there and then exchange. Oh, wear mine and see how it is. Oh, do this and see. How are they going to cope? And even some of them are even overcrowded in the classrooms. So I think that at this moment, or maybe in June, there are some questions to be asked, but it's a good idea. So let us hope for them to bring their measures for us to see if it will help.
All right. Okay. Thanks for your contribution. Abindao, was there something you wanted to react to?
About the final years, as I did, I think I was very clear to you that those options are all available, and we are looking at all that. At the end of the day, when we've gotten all the inputs, we will put them together, form a certain opinion, and of course, in consultation with the GES Council and other governmental, the ministry, we will make a final decision on that.
Okay.
Yes.
Somebody is asking arrears, and I feel like that's not even a fair question to ask, particularly at this time when we know private school teachers, a lot of over 90,000 of them have lost their jobs and they can't even get salaries. But yeah, I mean, that's your reality. Let me move on. This one says, I think schools should remain closed. If the ban on social gatherings is lifted, this virus doesn't know anyone. This virus doesn't know. We must be patient. It's our front door. All right, so someone called China Kwamu send in this message. Kindly do not call the WhatsApp number. The number to call rather is 030221169102. Emmanuel is in Asylum Down. Emmanuel, thank you for joining us. Let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, you see, what some of us would suggest is that, as it's already said, when the restrictions started, it started with what? The final years were in school for at least a week or so before they were called to get back home. If the health expert thinks that it is safe, I think that it will be very appropriate for them to start with what? The final year students, that is what? The JHS 3 and the SHS 3. If all protocols are really put in place, then by so doing, it will be used as a pilot case. In this case, when you have Form 1 to 3, you could see that you can even spread them out in maybe the basic classroom, like basic 1 to 6. Then if it is SHS 3, they can spread them out in the various classrooms, at least maybe having maximum of about 15 to 20 maximum in each class, making sure that all the protocols are put in place before we try to go to school. Because as it being said, the various schools, when you go, you have 70 students sitting in one classroom. How are you going to manage that one? And I will also propose that for the younger one, especially lower primary, or if possible, the whole primary school, they shouldn't think about bringing them from the beginning. We can start with the final years, so that gradually, by God's grace, when you use that as a pilot, then we see how best they can ease it by bringing the other elderly people.
All right,
and
well
with
said.
God in our side, maybe things can work well. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Jonathan is in Obuasi. Good morning, Jonathan. Hello, Jonathan.
Hello.
Yes, Jonathan, you're on air now. Let's hear you.
But one thing I want us to know, the minister just said that schools can be
Jonathan, give me a second. Hello. Please lower the volume on your television or whatever we can hear in the background. Okay, please turn down because we can hear something in your background, and come back and speak to us when you're ready. You can send me a WhatsApp message as well. Kindly do not call the WhatsApp number. Send me a WhatsApp message with a number that will be put on your screen. My friend is just reminding me of infrastructure deficits that we have around this period. Jonathan, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, let's hear you real quick.
Yeah, the minister made a point that schools are not going to be closed forever. And I mean, imagine you being a student and staying home, not really doing active academic work. How are you going to feel? How are you going to cope? Do you understand? I think if much possible, the final year students, the university, the HS and the SHS should be allowed to go to school to see how these are going to cope. I mean, that can be a fundamental to study how things will be ruled out for the rest of primary and other people. These can be the fundamentals to have a study. Or else, students are going to stay home, academic work are going to be prolonged, other things are going to be prolonged.
Okay,
so
all right.
As much as possible, they should bring suggestions or anything that will help school resume back to normal.
All right, Jonathan, we get your point. Thank you very much for your contribution. I wish Akosua would call us back from Weija. Akosua, particularly if you're a student, I want to hear from you. What do you think your own thoughts would be in terms of how do we progress? What will make you feel safe if you're a student? You can also reach out and share your thoughts. So let's use the rest of the time, for you to tell us, so where are we now?
You're raising the issue of infrastructure.
Infrastructure deficit, yes.
Yeah, you see, Madam, at the moment, we are not talking about new issues. We are looking at the schools will have been running, but for COVID-19, the schools have been running. So that's the environment in which we are operating. I know, and it's a fact, that one of the massive infrastructure development of schools, especially senior high schools, is currently underway in all the senior high schools in the country. And therefore, but that's not what we are dealing with, because that was not meant for COVID-19. So what we will focus on is what do we have now, and how do we manage what we have now to ensure that the environment is, as I said, and as many people are saying, probably the issue of phased reopening. Some groups will come, other groups will come. Like somebody suggested, probably if the final years are allowed to go, it can be a basis for assessing how well we can manage others when they come in. How do our systems work? Because they are smaller in numbers, they are fewer, and therefore we can even use that as the basis for assessing if everybody is coming in. Those are views that we are looking at. Those are views that we are expecting the public to give us. So what I will say is that we will continue to encourage people who have ideas, who have suggestions, to come up with them. We'll put all of that together. We are open for discussion, we are open for consultation, so that we can together come up with some framework that will make our schools safer and more secure.
You must be working with some timelines.
Yes, we are looking at what we are doing. We don't know, to be honest with you, we do not know what the thoughts of the president will be on the 31st of May. We don't know. All what we are saying is that should we be directed to go back, what do we do? That's exactly what we are doing. So our view is that we'll be able to put together some tentative ideas, some clear way out by the time the president will come up with his views. Those, I'm not sure the president will come and say tomorrow, let the schools reopen. I'm sure when he comes to, he will give us some benchmarks on how the schools should go back. Once we get that, then we'll begin to operationalize the ideas that we might have put together. Some of them will call for review, some of them will call for some further consultation and some further discussions. And we are open and ready to engage in that type of discussion. At the end of the day, don't forget that managers of the system also have children in the schools. They have relatives around who are teachers, who are non-teaching staff. So if they go and they also get infected, they are all in trouble. So everybody should bear in mind. The idea is for all of us to work together to ensure that we create an environment that is safe, that is secure, so that everybody can participate fully and effectively in the school system when it reopens.
So how many teachers do you have sitting at home right now not working but getting paid? And I think the focus has been put on the public teachers, particularly because we've been told that such a huge number of private teachers have lost their jobs and their daily lives.
Ghana Education Service employs in total, from its headquarters to the KG class, a population of about 340,000.
So you've been paying?
Everybody is being paid every month.
Are you thinking of slashing, cutting down, doing 30%, 50%? Are you playing with those ideas?
It has not come up.
It has not come up.
It's not come up.
Okay. All right. Okay, sir. I guess we have to leave our conversation here, but thank you very much for taking all the questions. Thank you for helping us with the conversation as well. Is there a way that people can reach formally with their, I think you said that you haven't gotten to parent yet because we're dealing with the general public in terms of soliciting for views.
We are dealing with the, as I call it, the front line. We are dealing with the front line who will be in the school environment, the teachers, the non-teaching staff, the managers or the education system. We will definitely get to the NGO, the civil society organization, the parents. Will get to everybody.
Is there an answer to when?
Oh yes, as soon as possible. In fact, what we wanted to do, let me be very honest with you, what we wanted to do was that if we had the input from our stakeholders, the front line, by close of work today. We say close of work today. If we have had them, we'll put them together and we'll have come out to those NGOs and civil society organizations as proposals from the Ghana Education Service. Can you look at it and make your comments?
Okay.
This was what we wanted to do. So it's not late. We expect we have the whole of the rest of today, which is the 19th by our original plan. We expect that by the weekend, we will have put together whatever views that we receive from them, and hopefully we will float it out to the others as to this is the position coming from within the Ghana Education Service, whether people have comments to make about them, people have ideas to share with us, and then we will continue to shape. But the point I'm making is that those ideas will not be our final position. It will be our proposals to engage for further consultation and discussion. And once we are through with that, then at least all of us will be very clear in our mind what is the way forward.
Okay.
As to the schools.
Well, some of us are hoping that what COVID has exposed us to, the realities in our educational system, the public and the private, going forward, there will be something that we will change. At least COVID should force us to change something about our educational system.
And let me be quick to say that COVID has been a blessing in disguise. It has really taught us a lot of lessons. And I'm sure that not only in education, but in all sectors of the society, all of us will need to learn, will need to adjust, will need to realize that there's much more to be done. And we are very conscious of that.
I can promise you, even if you forget it, as Ghana Education Service, we will be reminding you the place where we got to when COVID came someday, and how you struggled to even do virtual learning.
Right.
As Ghana Education Service. Well, thank you for your time. Really appreciate you for taking the time. I hope that we can do this sometime in the future.
Very well.
My guest, Anthony Boateng, Deputy Director General, Management Services, Ghana Education Service. We thank you for being on board this conversation as well. We've got the Sisala Goddess. She's the young lioness of Africa. Noella Wiyala will be our guest later this morning. But 3 people, including the driver of the DCU for Amansia South, have been shot dead, sadly, by armed robbers at Dadiase near Datano. We're going to go for more details with my colleague, Ohiming Teria. He joins us. Ohiming, good morning. This is just breaking for us. Give us more details.
Evening at about 7 p.m. when the group of armed robbers besieged the Yasi community in the Amansie South district of the Ashanti region, and in the process started shooting sporadically at anybody that they see on site. And in the robbers succeeded in killing 3 people. They include a 60-year-old man who was shot in front of his shop, another gentleman on a motorbike, and the driver of the district chief executive for Amansie South, William Asante Bediako, who was shot in the neck through the windscreen of the vehicle. We are told, as at the time of the incident, the driver had joined the officials of the District Health Directorate on COVID-19 sensitization campaign at nearby Datano. So they were returning on the way when the incident occurred. The district chief executive was not on board the vehicle because at that time he had released his official vehicle for the COVID-19 education ahead of the market day today in nearby Datano.
Any arrests?
For now, nobody has been arrested in connection with the shooting incident. We have been told that the Regional Police Command is sending a team of detectives and crime scene aspects to the scene to help in investigations. The Manso Enclave, this is not the only first time such an incident had occurred. The Manso Enclave is noted for some of these discrepancies. For instance, just 2 years ago, a police officer on board a Sprinter bus was shot to death after armed robbers, besieged the vehicle and robbed passengers of personal belongings.
All right, Ohime, we'll let you go so you can give us a lot more information later on in the day. But that's my colleague Ohime Nteria. We'll be back after this breather. Stay with us. Noella Wiyala is our guest on the show later this morning.